Now, Nigel Farage talks about recruiting for the prison and for jobs that are not diversity jobs, which I think is good. We should have highly qualified and competent officers working in certain jobs. Now let's hear him, what he has to say.
Police officer on our streets. I think that if criminals slightly fear the police, that is a desirable place for us to be as a society. I knew a chap who'd served in the Grenadier Guards. He'd served in Afghanistan. He'd done 2 tours, one of them a very, very brutal tour. He came back in his late 20s, applied to join a county police force, but was rejected. Rejected. A fit, young guy, an army sergeant who'd done service, told to come back next year because they were having trouble with their quotas. Enough. Enough of all that rubbish. And in fact, on that theme, we would look very much to go to people who have served in the armed forces, who we think would make ideal police officers. Fast-track courts. We have a massive backlog in all levels of court cases in this country, partly down to the repeated lockdowns that we went through, and partly down to the fact that actually, astonishingly, so many magistrates' courts have closed since 2010. Up to 50% of magistrates' courts closed since David Cameron came to power in 2010. So we would aim to reopen those magistrates' courts, and we would reach out to former and retired magistrates and say to them, please, we want you to come back to this job. Help us in this national effort to catch up with the backlog and to start dishing out proper justice. And of course, we know that 10% of criminals commit 50% of all crime in this country. So it won't surprise you to know that we are not supporters of the Labour government policy of early release for offenders. Weren't some of those scenes outside our prisons deplorable? People being let out, being met by Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, champagne being opened, and the reoffending rates have been truly horrific. No, we take a very, very different view, and we do absolutely think that if anyone commits more than 3, and whilst of course prison should aim initially to rehabilitate and to educate, if people are, convicted of more than 3 serious offences, well, frankly, we think that puts them on a course towards life imprisonment. And the same goes for sexual offenders and violent offenders. We believe they should serve their full term, not just as punishment, but to keep the rest of society safe. So we're very strong on that. Yeah, commit the crime, pay the price, be you a shoplifter, be you someone carrying a knife, whatever it may be. And we would look to free up tens of thousands, up to 30,000 prison places. We will build Nightingale prisons. You remember the Nightingale hospitals? Within 72 hours, hospitals were built. And we'll work with private contractors, but we'll want to use the logistical skills that exist in the army and our armed forces to make this happen. We can build up to 12,000 prison places, and we can do so actually in short order. And there are 10,400 foreign prisoners in our prisons, has been mentioned on this platform already. They will be deported back to their home countries. And I think I'm in conversation with Edi Rama from Albania.
I believe this is the way to go. We cannot have a soft spot leader and we want a safe country. We need leaders who are strong, who are able to pass their laws, their policies, and implement it. So we pray that Britain will be saved. And we pray for protection over this man. May God continue to keep him so that we have a safe country again. Right. So now let's hear what he has to say regarding prisoners who are from other countries.
And there are 10,400 foreign prisoners in our prisons has been mentioned on this platform already. They will be deported back to their home countries. And I think I'm in conversation with Edi Rama from Albania, and I think he's rather agreed that he will take back all of the Albanian prisoners in this country, which is rather a good thing. And yes, we do think dynamic prison places overseas work. You've seen America doing it recently, but the Scandinavian countries are doing it too. You know, Estonia is quite prepared to take prisoners from this country. And in fact, the Labour government has had those conversations already, but of course, nothing has come to fruition. Denmark sends off prisoners to Kosovo and places like that. I mean, it is quite astonishing that to keep a prisoner in a British prison costs nearly £52,000 a year. You could send a child to Eton for that price. So if we can send some of our worst violent criminals overseas to serve their terms, then yes. And if that means that Ian Huntley goes to El Salvador, well, our attitude is so be it. So we're serious about it, but we also think we can cut the costs of running prisons significantly. It seems that everything the British state does, because it's so highly bureaucratized, costs just so much more than everywhere else. France manages to run its prisoners for an average of £40,000 a year, not the £52,000 a year that it is here. To repeat, today is just the start of this law and order campaign, which will go on over the course of the next 6 weeks. I genuinely think that by standing up, by saying these things, we're striking a chord with the vast majority of the British public. There is nothing left-wing or right-wing about desperately wanting for our society, for our streets, to be a hell of a lot safer than they are today. And as with everything that we do, when we say it, we actually mean it. How about that? Thank you.
When we say it, we actually mean it. So we hope and pray that we will all stand behind reform. Reform all the way.